Welcome back, Rebels. Today we're going to talk about Keynotes, how they're a smart item to use instead of text, and more or less how to set it up and use it in your drawing. Out of the box, Revit has a basic Keynote. There's a lot of details not filled in, and there's not a file that it looks for that has been enabled yet. So that's something we're going to show you today. A keynote is an annotation, so at the top you'll hit annotate, and then you've got these options under keynotes. There's three styles. There's an element, material, and user, and today we'll be using the user keynote because they're custom for your discipline or your job or whatever you guys like to use in-house. We'll go to view, and in the model, what people in the past have done, and you may be still doing this, is simply insert text with a leader and just more or less hand enter it like you would with CAD. This is what most people try to do. It looks good, I guess, on the sheet, but you're going to end up burning a lot of time hand typing these, manipulating, and then all that does is get you text on the sheet, on the model. So on the actual sheet, you still don't have a legend. You've got the hand enter some type of sheet note legend, and then you got to define it. And you've got to hand enter, any kind of note you want to add. So really, using a keynote is going to speed things up. And if it's notes you use all the time on all the jobs, it's going to get a lot faster for you and look a little cleaner too, because we got a lot more options than just showing text like you see here. So let's jump in. The first thing you need to do is establish your numbering. The keynotes can be alphabet, A, B, C, D. It can be numbers, 1, 2, 3. It can be a combination, A1, A2, A3. But it's only going to know what to do based on the text file you set up. So even though Revit's super smart and can do a lot of things, it still relies on one of the most basic file types you can have. So the number one thing to get started is under settings, you need to define where your numbering convention rests. So what we like to do is per project, you need to create a text file. So ones we usually use, I've got like a master list here of notes that we can use, but for this project, just for this example, let's go to new. I'll right click new text document, and we'll call it just keynotes. Okay, so it's completely blank, nothing in it. And what you need to do is go ahead, I'm just going to use few examples, and then all that is how it's numbered in the tag. So now we need to assign a note that would go with it. So in this situation, you'd have 1, and then Revit will auto-populate your schedule, and it's going to add a column every time you use tab in this text file. So we'll go 1 tab, and then the note we want to use. And then for the second one, same thing, you'll hit tab. And then for the third, so you see how this goes. Just basically save it as you got it. So you're done with that. Remember the location of where you put it. We like to keep it in the job folder. And then you'll go to your annotation back in the model, keynote, and hit the down arrow and go down to keynote settings. You're going to define where it looks. So you'll go to browse, find your job folder, find the list you want to use, and hit open. It'll give you the OK that it loaded, and if you want to check what you did, you could hit view and make sure. And as you can see, it's key value associated, so you've got your numbering convention, and it recognized the tab that we used, and it separated your notes over on the right column here. So that's looks great. Now the path you could leave as absolute. Hopefully you won't be changing your text file around. It should be in a job folder. Your numbering method. Now by default, it's going to be set to Keynote. What that means is universally across the job, if you set something as note 1, no matter what page it's on, no matter what view, it's going to be number 1. I recommend this by sheet. Revit's smart enough to know what notes you have on a sheet, and it will renumber anything you've done to put it into consecutive order. So if you've got a 1, a 3, and a 9 on your sheet, it's going to renumber those notes 1, 2, 3. So it's smart enough to do that, and it's even smart enough to use the note, the actual description you have to go along with it. It will be renumbered. So we're going to set this. Well, we'll show you by Keynote first to show you how a basic one would work. So in the model, you're going to go ahead, annotate, and then we'll go to User Keynote. The family we use has been altered from what Revit assigns. It was pretty basic. So here at Edmunds, we've got a circle option with different leaders. We've got a hex with different leaders, and we've got a square with different leaders, because some people prefer to use a certain style for demo. Some people prefer to use a certain style for new work. So for this, we'll go to circle Keynote with an arrow. We'll grab what we want to keynote, and then all I did was left click. When you define your elbow here, you can left click again, and it's going to pop up your list, and it's asking what note do you want to call this item. So we'll go note 1, and then for this particular one, we'll do it a little differently, and we'll go with note 3. So we'll change the numbering convention. So we've got a 1 and a 3. No hand entering, no defining text. It just knows that's what we want to use. So this is in model. So if we go to our sheet, we've got our notes, so they come over. But we've got no way of knowing what those are, what's going on. So what you're going to have to do is open your browser, go down to Legends, and I've already made one here. We'll make a new one. So right click and hit New Keynote Legend. You can name whatever you want. Most people just keep it Keynote. What it's done is it's looked at how you've defined that text file, and it knows that you've got a value, which is your numbers, and you've got a text, which is your definition. So all of that's been poured over into what you want to see on your Keynote. So that's right. And I would sort based on the value. So Keynote value, so the numbers are what's important. All right, and when you hit OK, it's going to bring up this edit screen. This is where you could, play with the size of it. At the top, it pulls in whatever you named it, but we're going to call it Keynote, or Sheet Notes actually. And you can define this. This is what's going to show on the sheet. And then you can also spell it correctly. You can also highlight that. And well, oh, it didn't like that colon. Not good. There we go. Take that and underline it. There we go. All right, so it's going to say Sheet Notes, and look, it pulled in just what we've got on that sheet. So we're done with this. Now on the sheet, what you're going to want to do is insert it just like you would a view. So on your browser, you're going to roll down to your Keynote, and we renamed it to Sheet Notes, and drag it over. And there it is. It looks a little odd. It's kind of small. We need to make it look right on the sheet. So you can grab on it. These are grips. You can grab these triangles and stretch it out, make it look a little better. As you can see, the title Sheet Notes came in, and it only pulled 1 and 3 because we only have 1 and 3 drawn in our model. Key value, the titles, I don't like to show that, so what we'll do is go back to our browser, open that sheet note to the edit screen, and when you're here, you can edit the appearance right here under properties, and you can actually turn off the headers right here, the show headers. Unselect that, so take the check mark off, hit OK, and on this edit screen you can see it already disappeared, and on the sheet it's also going to disappear. So there we go. Now this legend we have is a dynamic legend. It's going to change as you change your notes. So the more notes you add, the bigger it's going to get. It's going to populate all the way down. But it's going to be a whole lot faster than trying to hand type on every sheet, which is this old convention and the old way people usually do it. So we can get rid of that note. Now this sheet note, these numbers 1, 3, that really doesn't make any sense. So let's go back to our Keynote settings at the top, and we'll change it to by sheet. And it cleaned it up for us, 1, 2. And it even goes through to the model and cleans up the view we've got to 1, 2. So even though we've called it 3, it knows that on this sheet it needs to update. Now, there may be a few tweaks you want to play with. You may want to get into the settings and slide this one over. That's easy to do. If you want to edit the format on the screen. But basically, I think this is probably the best way you can note anything, because it's going to populate this legend for you. So as a template, I would go ahead and build some of these, throw them in the corner or throw them at the bottom, and just let them rest. And they'll be active and ready, and as you note things up in the job, they'll start filling out these sheet notes for you. I have seen some borders where architects have shown space for keynotes, and I have actually taken this legend and manipulated the edges and shifted it around to where it would be part of the border. That's a clean look. You just got to be careful. You might get into too many notes and fill up that border. But I think it's a cool tool. I think especially when it comes to hand typing your notes, it's going to be better. Now let me show you what we use in the past. So I'm going to change my text file to one we usually use. Let me show you the difference. This has been hand entered, so all the way to 50. And then these are notes we commonly use electrically. So these are on here, so I know if I'm always going to have a refrigerator if it's a job with a kitchen area, or I'm always going to have a copier when it comes to offices. So this legend here, this keynote already topped out, is pretty handy because you can just refer to the number you want and then let it renumber it for you. So we'll use this. And that was it. Look, we got a new list of notes. So you may have a text file with predetermined notes that you have for a commercial building. You may have a predetermined list of notes for a church or a school or something like that. So once you get that main basic text filled out, you've saved a lot of time because there's no more hand entering these. So as you can see, it was easy as that, a couple clicks. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be glad to help. If you have any issues with not having the right family, I can share these keynotes with you that we've already made. And I think that sums it up. Have fun.